Hallelujah! And the track hearing is Danganronpa V3 Beautiful Lie. This is a fucking good track. I remember when I first heard it playing, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I especially love piano tracks, somewhat special to me. I don't know why exactly, I think it's just the fact that I liked Eurobeat and stuff growing up. Also talking about tracks that I've even covered, like, I think Strike You Sure Do counts, and there's Baby D Let Me Be Your Fantasy, one of the more iconic ones, or Miles Children, technically electronic. There's so many different tracks that I've grown up listening to, and it's why the piano form of it. Even like trance and stuff, when it's got a piano as the lead, and I've listened to like Yujiko and Snail's House with that. And yeah, it's great. I fucking love tracks like that. I think the lead as a melody instrument is just super underrated because it's used as a rhythm a lot. And it is used technically to do melodies, but not to the extent of being epic and being like this, calm, sort of. It's almost lo-fi. I just love this track. As usual, it's sort of Danganronpa-y. That should be a genre. Danganronpa-y. Yeah, also love the variety of electronic instruments in this too. I don't know what that synth pluck sound is, because I know it's a synth pluck, but I cannot find it. There is nowhere online that even discusses it, and I'm surprised because this soundtrack is so unique, it should be analysed. Like, where are you people? I really want to know what this fucking instrument is, because I'd love to use it. It's also so unique as well, because it's just, you get these like little licks every now and then with that. It just does like this ascend and descent sort of thing. It's just so different for music. Yeah, there's also a lot to love about the composition in this track as well. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the first topic. So, it's all stemming from my review of the problem with Apu in the last episode. I wanted to add something to that, which I think is very in line with obviously the topic that it's discussing. And I think it's actually really important because, again, I think it sort of refutes some of the points that were made in that documentary, but it's also making the point that it's also a positive thing. Again, it will sound weird, but trust me on this. So I think, to start with, when someone is obviously using your accent, or someone you know, like you never know, it's probably to do with other people, it should not be taken as a thing that's sort of discriminatory. In fact, by the very virtue of using it, it is literally in its own way a compliment. And I think if you view it as long as you view it as that, it won't ever be racist. That's not a coping thing, it's rather looking at the very fact. Because if someone truly hated your accent and truly was trying to be discriminatory, whatever, then they would actually be avoiding using your accent. They would actively try to avoid it. And I think that's also where the documentary sort of falls apart as well. Because even though it's just based on the foundation of people being shit, which is not news, it's not anything new, unfortunately, addressing it with an educational mindset is the best way you can go about it. And that's also kind of the shortfalls of the documentary too, where I could agree on some points. But again, the shortfalls is that it didn't really make a good point, didn't make a good argument to show that Apu as a character in The Simpsons is a problem. If anything, the only thing that they made a really good point about is the fact that Apu is voiced by a white person, and an American for that matter. But it ignores the fact that this was back in a time when we didn't have the transfer of information, at least as quickly, and we didn't even have very loud minorities, and in a sense, having someone or other show represent minorities the way it did is more progress than any other fucking show. Like, trust me on that. It is actually good. And I sort of view this the same way I viewed the King of the Hill thing, because even though The Simpsons don't have good gay representation, other than the lesbian scene, the lesbian pride, or gay pride, whatever, although they actually have multiple of them, but like the gay people in The Simpsons were shite, and they still are to an extent, except for Smithers. And also, like, I guess, is it Patty or Sam? I can never remember. One of them is pretty much a lesbian, I think. Yeah, because she is a lesbian. But I think that's good representation. It's better than nothing. And even then, they're not stereotypes for sure, but you have to be appreciative, even if they aren't necessarily a team of, or rather a team that had someone advising who was a lesbian or gay person. You can still appreciate the facts. So again, it should be taken as a compliment more than anything else. And the fact that Apu is so recognisable as an Indian character, that's also a big deal. And oftentimes when I think about growing up watching The Simpsons, and obviously Apu being a big part of that, you know, I still attribute Apu to being an Indian character, not necessarily the representation of an Indian, because he's actually in a different country. But it'd be different if, you know, he's actually like sharing cultures, although he is technically speaking sharing a lot of culture there. You know, Hinduism, literally arranged marriages and stuff, and they put their own twist on that, which is good. So not just doing an outright stereotype, but even then, why would you even point out the stereotype when you yourself are probably doing it? You know, the thing with Hari in the documentary is that he actively did the accent, and that in itself leads to the problem. When you do it yourself, people think it's okay to say it to you. It's a bit like I'm actually just going to say it. It's a bit like when a black comedian, a stand-up comedian, or a rapper or someone says like nigger. Like, they say it because it's an expression rather than a slur. And that also enables people to say it, unfortunately. It's sort of one of the parts where South Park, I think, got it wrong. But I think if you're enabling it, you sort of encourage it. And that's kind of the point here. You are literally bringing it up, not even providing a valid response against it. Whereas I think South Park's point, when it came to that word, it's like one of the main episodes with Randy is where he got into hot water with saying that on the... Oh, it wasn't Jeopardy, was it? But you guessed the word. And, you know, he's known as that guy that said it. And it made the point that, you know, even despite these mistakes, despite using it so fucking much, it also just kind of feels not like there's nothing there anymore. It doesn't have any meaning. And in the same way that it's been repurposed by people to mean friend, it's kind of, yeah, it's definitely complicated when it comes to that word especially. I think, again, you can take it as a compliment. If someone even insults you, I think, again, take it as a compliment. Letting people insult you and sort of letting them get away with it, as in you make a response, that in itself is an issue. I've called this out for even like death threat culture in the modern age, where people have nothing better to do than to give death threats to voice actors and people they don't agree with. I believe I've had one or two on this channel just from existing. And yeah, what I do with it instead of saying like, I'm going to report you to the police, I just mock it. I waste their time and I make fun of them. I turn it against them and they don't like it, which is good. But that's the point. I think you need to come up with your own strategy to respond to it, in the same way that people might be saying thank you, come again, in an Indian accent in response to you doing your own accent, or maybe even just by accident doing it. You can literally respond to them with a similar thing, maybe. You could literally mock them with maybe Homer's voice, or you could maybe mock them with another character's voice. I'm trying to think. The point is, don't let them get to you. I think that's one of the biggest points I can make here. Even though I'm not strong enough myself to do that in person, I do think it's important if you try. Because that will make the biggest difference. That's kind of what I mean with the accents being a compliment, because if someone uses it, that means they've recognised it. They've actually acknowledged it in a positive way and are happy to use it. Same way that these words also kind of are used that way, and as a pansexual person, being part of LGBTQ+, I know that I'm on the more controversial side because I take these insults against us. So I'll take an insult like tranny or faggot, and I'll just literally be like, sure, I'm whatever you want me to be, baby. And that will really fucking defeat those people who are actively trying to create pain and cause you problems. And that's the biggest fuck you can have towards these idiots who push this point home, who exhaust these very unnecessary things if you view it that way. Not everyone does. So I think that's important, and I try to think of the other thing with accents, acknowledging it and using it. Again, it's just more recognition, I think. Even then, using it isn't necessarily mocking the accent, isn't even like repeating the accent. It could be more just a way of accepting it and just being a piece of it, I suppose, in the nicest way possible. I'm trying to think of examples of this. Let's all look at the way that The Simpsons portrayed British people in that, and it was funny the way they portrayed British people. I was assuming Sideshow Bob was British, but I'm not 100% sure. But I just love how they portrayed him. And even then, going past that, the actual stereotypes, like when they went to Britain, the fucking roundabout bit is quite funny. And the guards were also hilarious, and didn't they do something with the Queen as well? Can't remember. Plus their accents and stuff, they're always doing it, it's funny. And also, like, I think my favourite British joke from them, which is such an exaggeration and not really offensive in my opinion, is the Book of British Smiles. I still remember that because it's just so graphic, but it's also funny. Because that is literally what we look like. It's not even a bad representation, but it is exaggerated, especially when they go to the left, because they balance it out. They show it in like different stages. It's like crooked teeth, and then it goes into like absolutely bonkers. And yeah, it's sort of graphic in a way. It's literally us, so. And I take that as a compliment as well. It's more like laughing with us rather than at us. I think that's different. I think we can all have a laugh about that as well, even as British people. Even though we don't really make a point of our teeth every now and then. It's because we're tea drinkers, and when we make our tea, we add sugar. I surprisingly don't. But I'm weird like that. I just go plain old tea because it's strong enough for me. Trying to think. I swear there was another thing with the accents. Also, it's like people, yeah, they do an impersonation. They try to do their own version of it, and if you're a voice actor and stuff, admittedly, we shouldn't be having people doing full voice acting for not stereotype, but in nationality. I think it's important you get the right people doing it, and also informing. Because I think there's a difference when it's obviously acted by someone who is diverse, or a diverse group. But I think when someone's informing another person of it, say it's a voice actor and they get advice from a friend or a person on the show, and they also say that in the credits, so they should credit the person who advised them, even anonymously, or just with less details, but, you know, getting the advice. Because I think about the Last of Us TV show, where for some stupid fucking reason, I think, did they... Hang on, let me look up. Last of Us Season 2 cast. Because I'm pretty sure they took issue with the actor for... Oh, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember the fucking name. So apparently it's out already. I didn't know that. But basically, the person playing a trans boy? Trans guy? Oh, I can't remember. Okay, IMDb is useless, thanks. But there's like an issue there with how they portrayed him, because it wasn't done by a trans actor at all. It was done by, I believe, another woman, was it? Or man? I'm confused, actually. I can't find this for some reason. Last of Us Guide to Season 2's new characters. Oh, was it he? Caitlin Devereux's Abby. Yeah, I think it was Abby, wasn't it? No, wait. Ain't Abby the... Oh god, I'm so fucking confused. What is this character? Levi, I think. Hang on. The Last of Us... to... Levi? Lev. Okay, but I'm pretty sure this was like the controversy. The controversy? Season 2, was it? But I'm pretty sure there was a controversy. Well, am I imagining things? I don't know anymore. What's this Reddit post? 3 years ago. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing with Abby as well. They didn't like... Somebody's a bunch of snowflakes. Didn't like that Abby was a more masculine and representing character, and she was a bit of an arsehole, weren't they? Yeah, it's just weird. Oh, here it is, season 3. Okay. Yeah, this is it. According to predictions, like a skeleton crew, Kiriana Krata will play Lev. Siblings are former members of, and in Last of Us Part 2, play a major role in every story, and we focus on the upcoming third season adaptation. Yeah. Who is Kiriana? Well, again, it's not about basing them on looks. Apparently, there's a quote from a Reddit user here. I feel like it's pretty tone deaf to not cast a trans male actor for Lev's role. Wherever I'm Reddit user. Trans actors are largely limited to trans roles. That's just the reality of how Hollywood casts. Yeah. So, yeah, I do sort of agree with that. But I think there's also a point to be made that if you are doing these things, there needs to be diversity in the room. You may not necessarily be able to find a trans actor, which is sort of my point here. The same you won't be able to find in the 80s an Indian actor for this role of obviously Apu. But there's definitely limitations to these things. And I think that you do need advisory at least. If you can't find an actor, just ask an opinion. It's not that hard. Especially nowadays, you can do that. And I'm definitely going to consider doing that when I wonder. Yeah, I'm going to have to close my door. But I definitely get onto that with writing my own characters and stuff. BLB. I'm trying to think where I was. Yeah, I really do think that they could have at least had some advisory stuff on this. At least if they had a trans actor, then that'd be fine. But if they had a, well, they have this now actually. They have a normal actor playing a teenage boy, a trans boy, for that matter. And as far as I know, they don't have an advisory on that sort of thing. So even though you can definitely pass off as the said actor, there is no like informing there. Like, is it offensive to be like this? Is it offensive to be like that? Even though it's probably not going to ever happen in the context of The Last of Us, which is mainly a post-apocalyptic zombie series. It's very important to at least do the right things here to make sure you don't fuck it up and go down in history as, well, the show that fucked up a trans representation. So I think it is ridiculous, but it's also extremely offensive when the trans representation is by a cisgender woman. Like, unless I'm missing something, and she's not. So in that case, sorry. But what the fuck are you doing? Again, it's so strange. You should have cast a cisgender man. That would have been much less controversial, I think. But again, finding someone young to do that is also very difficult, and it's also kind of exposing as well. So I also get the point of that, and I did mention that in the article briefly. But at the same time, you should have had an advisory. There's no doubt someone in the cast or the crew, maybe even like Pedro Pascal, knows someone who does know a trans boy and can ask advice. Like, is this too offensive? Is this fine? Because, you know, for like a 13 or 16-year-old trans boy, or even just one that's an adult, like why not a fucking adult? Just get their opinion, get their advice, because this would be fucking crucial to it. Otherwise you're just making the biggest mistake of the show's running time. It is so bad. Yeah, it really pisses me off, that does. And that's far better than obviously doing the thing where you just assume. Even then, if you are doing things like accents, and I've explored this in my own series, I've actually got a Scottish character called Gotha. I'm not 100% sure how I even pronounce it. But he's a goat. And he rolls his R's, and he also has a Scottish sort of dictionary. Also I need to say more jabby, but anyway, the other thing I say is like I, instead of like yes. And I think that's a decent gimmick as well. I think the accents are somewhat important to the characters, and also important to diversity for that matter. The entire reason I made Gotha a Scottish goat is because it's an unusual mix-up, obviously. I don't know if they have goats in Scotland, they probably do, thinking about it. Also given it's mountains, they probably have the climbing goats, Jesus. But again, the accent sort of thing is connected to the main city, where obviously the characters are sort of British. So Gotha is like the neighbour of this country as well, and that it's good representation too. I forgot the other point I was going to make there. Also, where else do you see Scottish people represented? When they're not in kilts. That's the other thing, like The Simpsons did a Scottish representation with Willy. How did I forget that? And honestly, it's one of the best representations there is. I could be wrong, but I wonder what they think. I need to look this up. Like, what do Scottish people think of groundskeeper Willy? I'm very curious. To ask UK, Reddit post. Let's see. Anything here? It's just a comment that was deleted. Thanks, Reddit. Fucking nonsense. I'm not Scottish, but I love this bit. It cracks me up. Yeah, the quote on brothers and sisters are natural enemies, like Englishmen and Scots, or Welshmen and Scots, or Japanese and Scots, or Scots and other Scots. Yeah, it's fucking good. But again, this is like good representation. And someone here saying only the weak get offended by stereotypes. I'm Scottish, and groundskeeper Willy is clearly funny as fuck. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's how I feel with the British representation as well. Again, it's really kind of funny, and even though they do the kilts and stuff, and the bagpipes, like, Willy is still kind of funny. But that's also just based on what we learn as well. It's also an education. That's the other thing with accents and stereotypes. A lot of it is just what you're brought up with, what you're educated with. They might teach you in school that gay people look like that, but they don't. Not all of them do. But then when it comes to media representation, you think, oh, this is a representation of gay people. And you see that in The Simpsons with like the lesbian characters, obviously, in the lesbian bar. But they're like all short head, including Homer. So it's one of the funniest jokes. But again, it's not really offensive. It's not discriminating. And even though it's not the ideal representation, it's representation regardless, and you probably should be happy about it. The same way that there is British representation in areas, and also Groundskeeper Willie. You've also got Utu, who unfortunately has not been seen for over 30 seasons, I believe, now. He's an exchange student from... where was it? I can't remember. But he's definitely from Europe somewhere. I'm trying to think what other characters there are. So I mentioned Luigi before, and Fat Tony. They've also had like tribes people on there. It's like indigenous and rather than tribes. Indian Americans? Yeah, I think it's Indian Americans. I can't remember. But they've had like different representations, and again, if you find these offensive, it probably tells more about you than anyone else. And that's another thing, I think there is a weakness in that, like the comment said on Reddit. There's definitely a weakness in being offended by these things, because it is a bit kind of weird, and you know, looking at a more controversial take, like Big Bang Theory, unfortunately, I used to watch that, which is, yeah, not my proudest moment. But the Big Bang Theory, you know, it used to be kind of controversial, and that was because Sheldon's representation is that he's an autistic bloke, and he's like really fucking obnoxious. But this isn't a good autistic representation. In fact, even though it is kind of accurate, unfortunately, these people do exist. I've met them, sadly. They're not the worst people either, and even then, there are other autistic people who are not like this at all. Because autism is a spectrum, and it's also one of the hardest things to represent. The only show I've ever seen that did it correctly, in my opinion, has not absolutely pissed people off. And also, it's not discriminatory, I forgot to mention that. It'd be different if it was like, oh, fuck autistic people, fuck Sheldon. But the show that I saw that did it well, two of them, The Outhouse, Dead End Paranormal Park. Those two shows are probably some of the best autistic representations there are. Or at least neurodivergent. I think they are really important. And that's how you do the representation, without stereotyping. And they're like textbook examples, and even to an extent, even Gravity Falls, I'm pretty sure Mabel is like neurodivergent coded, and she's a great character in that. Yeah, with enough going off on Disney tangents now, and probably Amphibia as well. What's her name? I can't remember her main girl's name. I'm pretty sure there's like autism coded characters in there as well, just not realise it. So again, it's very important to acknowledge these. Again, any representation is probably good representation. But again, we need to justify what racism is if we are talking about racism. And racism would have to be related to skin colour, or even the accent somehow. If you can pose that as being something that's like offensive, or what, being marginalised, I mean, that's what I mean. You need to actually prove it as racist. And I think the best example I thought of when I was thinking about this earlier it's probably, oh, I don't like black people because they're black. Like, that's textbook racism. Because that's such an obvious claim, stating that it's to do with the colour of the skin. And yeah, that's why it's just entirely racist. Because it is just about the skin colour, and then if you even go further, it's also something like deeper. Like, for example, when it comes to people who hate black people because of crime, they often attribute it to skin colour, rather than the socio-economic reasons, which are very much the reason why it unfortunately happens. And that unfortunately happens because of skin colour, because of the governments being absolute shite, treating them like cattle, literally. So you have to be sure in this as well. So you can't just be saying racist because racist. That's a circular argument. You have to actually find and replace one knows racist with the reason. Again, racist because of accusation of gun violence, racist because of correlated skin, racist because of I'm trying to think what else there is. Maybe country of origin, like something like that. There are just different reasons. And it's important to define that, otherwise we just lose the argument and don't lend any credibility to the point we're trying to make. And I'm as woke as they come. But I gotta say, the problem with Apu just seems very not woke. It seems like it tackles the idea of bigotry, as in it favours it, and also it only brings up some good ideas. So there's like a bit of both here, which really demonstrates itself. And that is a shame as well, because I sort of get the point, but I don't like the execution. It sounds nerdy, but again, that's sort of the reality here. You really cannot ignore this point. It's super fucking important. We really need to acknowledge it for what it is, and not what it's not here, obviously. So I do think that's a good point. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to add, to be honest. Again, accents, fine, impersonations, fine. But it's when they're being racist again, trying to find the attribute there if they're using your voice in a way to say, like, oh, I don't know, like, I'm not going to do it. It's like someone doing an African accent and saying I'm an N-word, and yeah, that's obviously fucking racist. It's with the intent to, obviously, belittle someone. And what's the other term? I wouldn't say mockery, it's different. Again, I think it's just belittling. Or again, like, even worse one, it's probably like someone pretending to be a black person, saying they're going to shoot up a neighbourhood. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, that is as racist as the last one. But yeah, we really cannot ignore these facts. So the next time you hear someone actually saying, like, thank you, come again, that is not to be racist or even belittle someone. That is literally to pay a compliment and homage to the character Apu, who is a very iconic Simpsons character. Like, come on. It is a bit ridiculous, though. But I'm willing to debate this and stuff, to have my mind changed. Given something like Black Lives Matter, like over 5 years ago now, was it? Maybe even a bit longer. You know, it sort of involves people of different ethnicities and stuff, different nations, different cultures, and it's still important to this day. In fact, just as important as ever, especially with the likes of ICE and stuff in America. But we really need to make sure we've got our arguments in the correct places, and also directed by our hearts rather than our minds in that sense. And obviously where my heart stands on these things is I like to have a good laugh about things like, again, the impressions, the accents, even then the stereotypes can be funny. It's just about not taking it too seriously as well. I think you give ammunition to the racist people for doing that, for making a documentary, which I'm not sure if I commented on, I should have if I haven't. But that exactly is the problem. Your commentary on this is why people are going to be racist about it and will continue to be so. Including maybe Hank, the voice actor of Apu. But again, you're not leaving any credence to yourself. It doesn't really work like that. Yeah. Again, making a big fuss about it, not a good idea. The same way people make a big fuss about Sheldon in Big Bang Theory. Again, really hits close to home as an autistic person. But that's not autistic representation. It doesn't even represent me. In fact, I'm the most unusual autistic person alive, probably. Because I am not like that. I'm not even like other autistic people. Like even the shows I mentioned, I'm barely like it. There are similarities, but we are not the same. So it's hard to represent everyone in that case because it's a spectrum. But obviously, with like even accents, surprisingly, it is a spectrum in itself. I don't know how I didn't realise that. So even then, it's sort of hard to claim it's making a mockery and being racist. But again, the other thing, because this isn't just about accents either, the cultures as well. I would be inspired if a country was represented by culture. Like if they represented British people with like fish and chips and obviously like teas, we already are represented like that. You know, I think that's brilliant, that's funny. But it's good representation either way, even if it is kind of like poking fun. And even, you know, in the South Park, they actually had a character called Pip who was from Britain. He had an entire episode where you think he went back and then he came back in a guinea pig episode and got killed, I think. Or was it? Oh, it was a Cartman episode, wasn't it? Yeah, it was that one, his father. Yeah, I remember that. The 200 episode, I believe. But, you know, they killed him off, and you know, Pip wasn't the best representation, but it's still funny, and I can still appreciate it. The same with like disabled characters like Timmy and Jimmy. I thought were hilarious, and even then having the opposites like Nathan and what was his name? Shut up. I can't remember his name. It's funny though. But you know, there's a good representations. And they treat them like human beings and not stereotypes, admittedly. That's kind of the thing that sets them apart. And it's actually a video about their representation that got me looking into South Park to begin with. Other than the recent Trump stuff they did as a storyline. But yeah, it's a well-written show though. That's why it's become one of my favourite of all time. It doesn't beat One Piece, but it beats The Simpsons, which is extremely fucking surprising. I genuinely found it more fun and more interesting than The Simpsons. It really goes to show. Even then the representation, even though it's sort of a bit more kind of teetering on her, it's still good. It's like Big Gay Al, literally one of the first characters in the show, is obviously a gay person. And Mr. Slave later on, even more fucking gay, but also sort of offensive. But it's funny, and I appreciate representation either way. Regardless of how you see them, it's still a compliment, because they recognise you. And even then, if they recognise you in the wrong way, it's still funny because they misled themselves. I sort of think about that Far Right show that someone responded to, I can't remember what it's called. It's like the representation of a diverse or DEI or trans, was it trans non-binary? I can't remember. They couldn't even make their own mind up on that actually. But I had to laugh because it's like the most misrepresentation of an LGBTQ plus character there is. And all because this show wants to make a point about how young people's culture is stupid. how society is stupid for allowing this and enabling it. But it's just so funny that they use that as a way to, again, mock, undermine, even attack the community. But I'll just take it in its stride, and even then continue to do that to piss them off. But at some point, the best weapon is the very thing that they're accusing you of, maybe. Not in every case, obviously. But still, you just have to think of it in terms of individuals and try not to give in to their demands or their wants in that sense. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking about this. It's gone on for a long time. Jesus, I keep talking too much. So let's move on. So, I have some thoughts on Meccha Chameleon. I've been playing it for, I don't know how many hours I have in it now. Probably just an hour. 103 minutes, okay. Makes sense. But yeah, I've got like good things to say about it and bad things to say. Because, unsurprisingly, because it is really a big hit, and this is one of the first times I've ever played a game that's been a big hit. But that's because I'm so interested in the concept. I saw this on YouTube Shorts, and I was like, okay, this has potential. Before it even became popular, by the way. But it already had like millions of views, I think, so it's sort of already out there. And then also saw streamers play it, and it was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. It's literally one of the things I've been saying. It has the freedom to make whatever you want to make, and allows you to do whatever you want. You could be goofy with it, you could be serious with it. It is just amazing. So, where do I even start? I guess opening the game is fine, there's nothing really to it. Just a brief loading screen, and then you're straight to the menu. Honestly, it's better than most other games, but you should probably expect nothing less from an indie game anyway. But yeah, it's always a bit jarring to see that, because oftentimes these games launch with bloody watermarks and shit, and this just doesn't. Which is a big positive in my opinion. But then you get to the menu and there's some weird shit going on. Very simple menu, isn't really much to it, and there's a tiny bit of clutter with it, actually, I say. With like the buttons and stuff on the right. But it's fine other than that. So yeah, like settings I should go through. I gotta admit I'm not that happy with the settings menu. Even though there's enough there, I feel like there should be a bit more. I mean, for the people who need the settings, I'll probably think of something like, what would it be? I can't even think of what the setting would be now. Like gamma was the one I was thinking of, the main thing. There's probably also more you can do with that, like maybe DLSS, but I don't know how viable that is. Maybe some sort of overlay sort of thing that helps. Yeah, like, there's enough settings there, it's just when you put global illumination on for some reason, it really messes with your system. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. I'll try enabling it during the game and see what happens. But it's very weird, and yeah. For some reason the audio settings keep changing. I keep switching to my alternative mic, and luckily I don't use it, but otherwise, in use, I mean, I just don't use it because it's just a backup. But for some reason I keep swapping to that, even though I set it to a Rocksmith cable, because I don't want to speak. But yeah, it's somewhat decent. Also, there's a decent amount of settings in game with audio. I think you can increase and decrease the player's audio settings if you need to. The only problem is you can't tell who's saying what, from what I could see anyway. And so maybe that'll change in the future. Yeah, actually going into a game. I haven't created a server yet. I don't know if I'll ever bother, but it might be worth a try at some point. But getting into a game is somewhat decent. I wouldn't say it's the best thing, because it keeps showing games in progress rather than games that are obviously not executed yet or whatever. There's always that struggle I find in this. The filter system is good, but it could do some more filters. I think we do need one that explicitly states the mode that's being played, and that would be helpful. I've had one bug. When I joined the first ever game I tried to join, it decided not to join. It kept me on the loading screen, and I just had to just Alt F4 in the end, I think. Or was it? Actually, I don't think it was. I think it actually kicked me out to the title. I can't remember what happened there. In-game and stuff, it seems fine for the most part. From what I could tell, I did notice it right away with like the paint texture. Also, I hate in lobbies there's a lack of being able to see settings and a lack of what is it? Being able to see like the maps you're downloading, or in rather, because it doesn't give you an idea of what to expect. You're not really able to plan ahead, which is kind of to a disadvantage. So I'm not sure what could be done about it exactly. And yeah, first thing I noticed when I got in game into the lobby is when you started painting, there's something off with the paint. I don't know if this is a common occurrence. Don't notice it during streams. I could double check actually. It might be worth checking, but my paintbrush seems a bit weird. Does not seem right to me. Let's see. Obviously, someone playing Meccha Chameleon. I forgot Twitch was. The other class were doing Pride streams. It's one tomorrow. Was it today? No. Wait, it was today. I missed it. Shite. Yeah, there's nobody painting. I'll go behind a bit on the stream I'm looking at. Yeah, that's hunter mode. Just want to see really. No, it's not even a detailed painting. Fuck's sake. Okay, there is. Let's see. Is it not detailed enough? 1080p source, come on. Yeah, for some reason those edges are on there, on my version of the game. It's not visible on here for some reason. But it also sort of means that you could probably spot certain players from that, which is a bit of a worry. So that's not good. So I can see an exploit with that. So something needs to be done about that. Either anti-aliasing needs to be like fixed or something, or what? I don't know. It's sort of hard to say. What else is there? Getting into the game itself, I believe I got Hunter the first time. I was in the backrooms. Somehow landed myself there. And yeah, it's alright. It's confusing at first, but I got a few kills because I'd obviously watched a lot of Twitch on that. I watched a lot of Twitch streams on Meccha Chameleon. Sort of new places to check and stuff. There's infection mode as well, which I don't really like that much because you don't get to see other creations. Even then, that's sort of preferential. I prefer having the wait in between to also see what happens. Because it can be entertaining, but I can also sort of see how infection might be good, so I just don't really mind. I think basic is just generally better. But yeah, this is the other thing with like seeing the lobby settings. You can't see if someone's set a bigger search timer, lighter search timer, and hide timer. I've had games where it's literally like 60 seconds to find a place and hide, and it's like, oh god, like this isn't fair. Like even to a beginner, it's not really that fair. So I don't generally like that when lobbies are like this. So I wish there was sort of a set mode thing in the filters maybe. Like short, long sort of timers for each thing. That'd be a good thing to have and have it like be permanent, obviously per tag. The tag just keeps it there. What else? Downloading a map is a bit annoying at times. Sometimes it'll be like you can download it instantly, you click it, see when it's asking you to go onto Steam, and for some reason they're like hundreds of megabytes long, bigger or and it just takes a while. So it's a bit weird. I'm not really a massive fan of that, which yeah, it's kind of disappointing. Well, either way, then once they're installed, it's not really an issue. Once I played the Simpsons map after, and yeah, the maps can be decent, but some can be terrible. I literally played one earlier. I think it's one of the worst maps I've seen, like, ever, I think, because it's just not well converted and just confusing. The map I played off was actually good. What was it called? Can you see on the community hub workshop? That's probably it. Not the most popular, most subscribed. No, latest update. Where's mine? For fuck's sake, Steam. There it is. Oh yeah, here it is. 3 stars out of 5. Hullabaloo Museum and Gallery. It's fucking awful. Avoid it. It's one of the worst maps ever. It is so bad. It just seems like everything is a bit kind of weird. Like, I'm guessing this is like an Oriel's place, maybe. But it's like so glitchy. Like, the chairs look weird, the frames look weird. It's just not very good, in my opinion. And maps like this I don't think are very appropriate for the game. It's also really difficult. I remember I played a hunter on this and I only found like 2, I think. And the same with the other guy. As with everyone else managed to escape. In that sense, it was impossible. But yeah, there's also still an exploit of like the darkness. I forgot to say I should talk about chameleons now. Yeah, painting is itself a job at times. I find the control scheme a bit weird compared to what I'm used to with like artwork. Because I right click to grab a colour, but here it's like space. Like, oh, okay. It's like F to paint, then the paint mode rather. Also left click to paint, but for some reason you have to hold mouse 2 to drag left or right to increase your brush size. The brush doesn't even go small enough as well. But I sort of get it from a perspective of maybe you do need to have it a decent size just to be fair, but also it kind of makes it difficult as well because you're trying to do a finer detail and it gets you to think in layers, which in itself is not a concept many people can wrap their heads around. Layers are pretty much a thumbnail art thing anyway, so I'm not sure about that exactly. I'm trying to de-layer the onion but struggling to do so. So yeah, it could be some more types of like brushes, I guess. Maybe even just like modes, like switch to an ultra small, why not, and then just some like shaped ones perhaps. I will say with some of the updates there has been good changes and stuff, like the decoy option. I'm still trying to find ways to utilise that in this time. I'm not 100% sure it works though, because sometimes that's the other thing I need to talk about, that really annoying bug that keeps happening on these lobbies. But yeah, like, what was I talking about? The tools and stuff? Yeah, I guess it was. I like the body types. I think they're handy, but I don't know why there's an increased size version. Like, it makes no sense. Why is there a 1.4 and a 1.7? It's kind of weird to me. Because everyone would go for the smaller one because it's easier and you're less likely to get caught. And I don't think even the taller body types allow for like blending into the sides as well. So that creates some problems there. I'm not 100% sure why that was a design choice. Maybe it's just people thinking they could do a lot better with that, but I don't know. Yeah, it can be kind of difficult. Just navigating that. And also because it bugged out the first day and they patched it, I think. I wasn't able to choose my type, I was stuck on 1.4 all the time. So I was just getting caught constantly. But that does lead into one of the interesting exploits I've found in general gameplay, and people probably know it now. But for some reason, if you hide in like a really dark or really light area, you can pretty much get away with it. And I mean like really dark, almost like void dark and blindingly light. And you just get away with it because there's no way in the game to tell. In fact, I found a place, someone else found a place in the back rooms, in the darkness of the sofa. Like a random sofa there. They just made themselves the darkness of the sofa, and nobody could find them. They wreck out the points and stuff because everyone was looking, and it's like, you can't see anything. So the game does sort of need a solution to that problem. I think maybe, I don't know, something to do with the engine perhaps, but something to get rid of those complete blacks in like the texture files and stuff, and I think that needs to be addressed, so complete black and complete white. Because I don't know if that's even really a good idea when you can't see it, because that kind of defeats the point. Sometimes there are really good hiding spots, and you don't need that, but sometimes this is just like cheesing it, which leads on to another issue. I've seen players cheese it in a way that I don't think I've ever seen on the streamers. In the Simpsons house there's a place behind the piano which you can go into. Somehow that player was caught, I don't know how. It's just bizarre, and there's a place on Viking Valley, I believe, the bar place, under the barrels, and you can basically get under there somehow, in the darkness, might I add. So that's also very strange. And then finally there was another one, on this anime girl map. I forgot the name now. Like Hazy, I don't know. But in this map there's like a storage room or something, or a cellar maybe a cellar. And in that there's a box. Probably see where this is going, but the box is on a shelf and it has a really tiny gap. And somehow this player got in there. You won't be able to see them unless you actually navigated that shelf. And you know, the problem with the player models as well, being a hunter, you don't really see the chameleons very well, because something about it just seems a bit off there. Like, it really feels like the size difference makes it a problem. Even then with like crouching, it doesn't do anything, especially when you have to climb and stuff. So it's like a weird situation with that. I'm not sure how that can be addressed exactly. I'm trying to think. It's not really coming up with any solutions here, but there has to be something. So yeah, I do find that a bit of annoyance. But then we get onto the bugs, and the bugs are quite frequent in this game, sadly, because of public lobbies. Yeah, if I had friends to play with, I probably would. But you know, because I don't really play with any friends anymore. Yeah. I just play on the public lobbies, obviously, and this ends up being complete disaster sometimes. For some reason, I don't know if it's like my internet connection, I can't tell, because I've always had issues with this internet, and it's mainly just a latency issue, but then for some reason every now and then you get a really bizarre bug in this game. I'm trying to think of like the first one that happened. I think there was like a rubber banding issue. Like we went from painting ourselves in an area and then just went right the way back. Then there's an issue where I think a hunter left, and this seems to cause bugs as well for some reason. No idea why it's not patched yet. And it resets everything. It resets your position, it resets the timeline, so you have two of yourself, which makes it harder for the one fucking hunter. And then, like, what are you supposed to do? It's just crazy, it's impossible. So, there's so many annoying bugs there. This you had it earlier when my decoys were left up, because I happened to make myself comfortable under the sofa somehow, and then got reset as the hunters were out as well, mind you, shooting people as well. And then I managed to hide myself very quickly in that same room. But it's like, what the fuck is going on? There's so many weird bugs there. Yeah, just don't know what to do with this. I hope it gets fixed soon because that just seems like a very game-breaking thing, especially for like pub lobbies. I suppose it is the other thing as well. The pub lobbies are kind of uncensored anyway. Literally, you found someone called Rupert Lowe the other day. Yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, that's weird. Like, why? Like, people's names just being so random, and I saw someone named Smacktarden or something. I don't know. Some weird fucking names. You know, they're everywhere. It's not really well moderated in that sense. It also makes me a bit worried as well because what if we just come across that one hunter player who's like painting themselves as a KKK member? Oh god, that's bad. At the same time, it could possibly lead to some laughs, but I don't know. I'm sort of neutral on this sort of thing. Because yeah, whilst it's bad, I think giving them the attention is like not good. I'm also pretty sure I saw someone with an England flag earlier, but then I looked on the other side and they had like a cross instead. So I don't think it was an England flag, which is a bit fucking weird. Yeah, some strange players here and there. But overall the game is like fun though, actually getting into it. You know, even being a hunter can be quite interesting at times because you're looking a lot to see obviously where someone is. It's better on the maps where there are, like, I think there are actual difficulties on the maps. Like the art gallery, for example, is almost impossible. The one I just did, which is badly rendered, is impossible literally. It's kind of hard to pull off even as a chameleon. But if you do pull it off right, it is literally so hard to see. But compared to like something like Backrooms or The Simpsons, you know, Simpsons and Backrooms are far easier. So I don't exactly know how the fuck you sort of rank these by difficulty exactly. I think it's just by texture and maybe, and then the prop density and stuff. Because I know there are maps on much harder than even those. And the ones with the horses probably. There's others, I think Shibuya, one of them? Can't remember the name now. It's like a place in Japan. But yeah, again, it gets difficult. So there are issues with the game that need to be ironed out, no doubt. But it can be fun, again, in the right scenario. You just gotta hope that people don't overwhelm it. And that's the other thing, I think there's like mods already, but like the mods are sort of weird. There is another issue actually. I think it's like the more players mod, I don't know if that exists, but it seems to be a thing. I think where you can have usually 13 players, you can increase it up to 24. And then you just get like really weird ping issues with that. It ends up getting quite overwhelming. It's fun on Infection because everyone's just looking. Like, you're sometimes going over to the same spot a few times, and there is some sort of disconnect issue with that I noticed. I was doing that on the Simpsons map, and I was in a room, I was looking at the shelves and stuff, and I was like, okay, I can't see anyone here. I can't see any oddly shaped things here that would be worth shooting at. And then someone else goes in and finds someone. I was just sitting there like, what? Like, how did you see that? I didn't see them in that shelf. So I'm suspecting there's an issue where there are literally invisible players among these mods. Like literally invisible, not just because they're really well hidden, but actually invisible. Because there's one player that happened to be on that map in the garage, and literally is hidden in plain sight. That's because what the fuck was that? I don't know what it was. But they were like in the corner in some dark area, and you might think like, oh, well, it's a dark area, they're going to be hidden very well there. That's not the problem. The problem is you couldn't even see them. I had the footage of myself looking at it, looking very closely, and there was nothing. So I don't really think there was someone there. It's not even a case of just being really blended in. I think it is literally a bug. So there are some really game-breaking bugs here and there, and definitely, certainly for those solo hunters, unfortunately, there is like one of them. Because the decoys even stay, so you end up sort of confusing things. You make your like location as you would normally, but if you put down 2 decoys, then you also sort of give yourself an advantage, because if a disconnect happens, you just become even more safe, because you now have a 3rd decoy there, and then you can put another 2 down, so that's 5 fucking decoys. So yeah, again, these bugs are extremely game breaking. And you think of it like a lobby of like 13 probably. It's like 2 players doing the hunting and there's 11 to hide. And obviously that disconnect happens for a hunter, and then 11 times 3, 33, plus that again, if disconnects, you got like 66 fucking models to find, and 5 of them, 55 of them, are not going to be real. They're not going to be the actual ones. Like, it's actually fucking broken. It's an insane bug that can happen. It's like extremely unfair, and somehow this hunter did it, but it's because players didn't use the decoy. Not actually sure how that system works. It's like there's no tutorial in this either, which I find a bit weird. I sort of wish there was a tutorial to explain everything. I feel like this game could also benefit from that. Especially with like non-art people as well. Yeah, but overall it's still fun. I think you just need to find the right lobbies. I sort by Europe for anyone wondering, and it doesn't really show Europe for some reason. It sometimes get the opposite of that, so it's often a bit 50-50 with what you find and how it goes as well. And there's also weird rubber banding issues as well with hunters, because sometimes they're like looking somewhere and they don't move, and then they suddenly teleport somewhere, and suddenly you're dead. Like, oh, okay. Happens to be earlier, I was like blending in with light, and I was doing really well. I only moved a bit, and then suddenly I was just gone. I don't know what happened there. It turns out there's 3 players next to me, and they didn't even get caught. So I'm not sure what happened. It's so weird. But also that blending in thing, the sort of warning as well, that's something I also don't like about this game. Because I get the exploits with being able to blend into a wall. Like, it's too overpowered. But the issue is, when it starts to warn the hunters of it, you don't really have enough time. So it's a very strange scenario. I think it like perma exposes you depending on the latency and stuff. I think that may be what happened to me, because I was like accidentally blending in when I didn't mean to. There's also a lack of a way to stick to a wall without falling off by accident on that. Especially in your poses and stuff. And the poses can be quite funny. I do have plans for like goofy chameleon rounds. I think of doing a what do you call it, the which one is real thing, but with my decoys and stuff. I'll just write like which one is real with like different faces maybe, and then that'll be like the round. It'd be so good, and I'll put the decoys there, just all 3 of us, like which one is real. That'll be like meme worthy, I think. It's just fucking genius. This is a meme culture already did a video on this actually. It's like people being like Spider-Man and stuff. It's just quite funny. Also like streamers as well, like especially there can be some really funny moments. I've seen like Justin's, HC Justin's streams, I've seen Domdog's. Just gonna have some varied lobbies in that, and very interesting ones. See Yogscast I watch as well. But again, there can be so many funny things. I've even seen like, unfortunately JP, I don't watch him anymore because of just a stupid AI bullshit. He's one of those AI enablers so I don't really like that. That's not a straw man, by the way. Literally, on the stream like a few months ago, listened to AI music, said, that's pretty good. I'm going to listen to it. Knowing it's AI, even though people called it out. You didn't listen. It's like, okay, fuck you, I guess. Fucking AI dick sucker. But yeah, even then, that lobby can be okay sometimes. So yeah, I find some people really weird on Twitch. Get people obsessed with food and shit. It's so fucking off-putting. Yeah, I suppose that's why I don't really have friends anyway. It's a curse of just being too understanding of things around the world. Yeah, it's a worthwhile trade-off anyway. Because at least I'm trying to do something about it. And trying to put things right. Anyway, it's my sort of thoughts, first impressions of Meccha Chameleon. It's definitely fun and I recommend it. I forgot to say, I listened to Deltarune Chapter 5, the OST. It's good, yeah. Well, there isn't too much to say on this supposedly, because it is some remakes of stuff, but I instantly recognised Carlos's work in Golden of Hopes and Dreams. Yeah, it's just such a recognisable tone and surprisingly composition. Like, it feels very insane in the rain. Ironically. Yeah, as far as like the OSTs go, I'm gonna be honest, I think that this may be a little on the weaker side. It's still good, but I still think it's kind of like there isn't much there. I don't know how to describe it exactly. I think of all the tracks that were there, I liked about, hang on, about 9 of them. It's a 9 of 40. It's about average, really. That amount of tracks I like, and there's also the one that didn't get included in the entire thing for some reason, which was the Weird Rap track. I'm not sure if that's because it maybe appeared before, but it's still fucking creepy. No matter how many times I hear it, it's gonna make for a good metal breakdown. You can hear the kill switch going in that. So yeah, it's definitely a good soundtrack. Certainly recommend it, but I won't go into it with high expectations, especially compared to like chapter 3 and 4, which are kind of peak at that point. But yeah, I guess it's just down to obviously having done so much of this, Toby's probably starting to run out of ideas. I could be wrong. There's probably still a lot of ideas there, but yeah. I'm also not really a composer, so it's hard to say. I try to make music, but I'm not exactly going to be that good at it. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add, to be honest. It's a good soundtrack, and I'm returning to Mario Kart World to finish that off. 121 of 352. I've been not feeling well these last few weeks. It's been hard to sort of listen to it. Should I feel what else? I've also discovered that there are quite a few, not just soundtracks I want to listen to, but turns out even artists I want to listen to, and it's becoming complicated to even figure out how to find a way around it. Like, is there a point to maybe, if I'm playing like a different game, like say Meccha Chameleon, do I just put on the music I want to listen to get that out of the way, or what? It's hard to find places to listen to it unless I go on the toilet and listen to it, in which case it's still difficult because I don't even know what tracks that I'd like, and I need to obviously add them to a playlist. So I don't know. It's a bit of an annoyance in that sense. But yeah, at least the soundtrack is short. I will give it credit where it's true. It's not repeating the tracks, it's keeping them short, as they're supposed to be, in my opinion. But yeah, the only problem is they do cut off on the YouTube soundtrack version, at least. I'm sure the Bandcamp version is like, it's not using Bandcamp, it's just really unusable. It's kind of weird. I was happy with like supporting creators and stuff on there, but they made the interfaces just so annoying. Like there's more things that you need to do with some of the music that's on there. Sometimes it's the volume, sometimes it's something else. I'm trying to think what it would be. It's also like locating things. It's just not well organised, in my opinion. Could be an artist thing, but you never know. Anyway, I like the soundtrack, so just want to say that. Let's move on. So I may be going kind of full panic mode. Just unexpectedly because of just what I've realised and also some of the advice I'm getting. Basically as it comes to potentially getting a new PC, and I say potentially now, other than it's certain, there are multiple factors going into it. I keep having this back and forth in my own head about what to actually do. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few days because I've been thinking it'd be nice to get one, but at the same time, should I? Because that's the question I'm asking. I thought about getting like guitars and stuff instead. But again, I'm not sure, and there's other things I need. It's just an annoyance. Like the annoying thing, and this is something I didn't realise about really living on my own and having my own sort of income, is that I'm not equipped for these living situations. I've had to buy every single thing here to get it under some sort of normality. So things like the automatic lights I have, which come on at a specific time of day. Things like, obviously my monitor, my furniture, all that, bed. Obviously that's all come out of my own money. And I wasn't even given like a payment thing for it. There's no, like, I don't know what you call it. Like they didn't pay me enough, it seems. Just based on the outset, these should have been owed much more money from the years I didn't actually have the payments. And it's not really from the perspective of greed, it's just the perspective of I'm in a new house, I just started getting this money, and I can't really afford the things that it's asking me. It turns out I have more bills, and actually that did delay me. I owed like, what was it? I can't remember the fucking amount now. I can't remember if I was paying off something. Might have been, yeah, that was it. It was actually rent. But luckily I got help with that, thanks to those people. I managed to pay it off, but I still contributed bits to it. Most of it actually. And it fucking, that took a lot of my money away. It just didn't feel fair. There's just so many baffling things here. And again, going back to the PC, the main thing for me is that it costs so much money. I'm looking at a £3,500 fucking PC. Like, are you kidding me? It's more expensive than this one. And I'm not even going for the higher hardware. It's just so baffling to me. And you might think, like, why don't you just reuse the components? Why not just use the same PC? Because it's not fucking fit for purpose. The CPU is too slow, somehow, even though it was working fine when I first had it. For some reason now it's starting to show its age. It can't even run games properly now. Even though it could run Cyberpunk back then. But the GPU keeps going wrong, obviously. Just has many different issues. I still get the stutter, but it's also becoming a big problem for my system now. Because it just seems to be stuttering rather than visually or whatever. With like the usual glitchiness, it seems to be just stuttering the entire Windows interface, so I don't know what the deal with it is. It's sort of hard to understand what's going on there. It's just so weird. So I don't know what to do there, but again, something like the RAM, yeah, even though it can be used, but it's still, I'm better off having this as a backup PC, because whilst it still runs from a daily purpose, it's at least an alternative, say, if the main PC goes wrong. If it gets too dated, I can just fucking sell it. And then another thing I have to keep reminding myself too is when I eventually sell other things in my room here, I could also get some money for that, and then I can contribute that towards the new PC. Also, that's the issue as well, because I can't afford it from the price it's asking, and even if I go and downgrade elements, it's still not going to be as cheap. The CPU I've had to change from 7900X to 99 because the 9900X is a bit more fast, a bit more fit for purpose, as you'll probably see a trend of. And I could have gone with a different type of motherboard. For some reason, the only ones... PC Specialist has a weird fucking interface here. Also, I can't build it because I'm too anxious about it. I've literally dropped things I shouldn't be dropping before. Like, I was even washing up like tubs, and they have like a plastic lid. It's a glass tub, but plastic lid for some reason. I guess that makes sense in a way. And, I dropped it. I've never fucking dropped it in my life. I just dropped it today of all times. I had to wash it up, but I also had to fucking desanitize it before trying to clean it again. Again, I keep having this back and forth about PC stuff. Again, what am I putting in it, what don't I need to put in it? It's a question. Then people are saying I need faster memory. I need 6,000 megahertz. And obviously I need 64 gigabytes, I know this from my own experience. Because I don't have enough memory either. In this system, it's barely enough to get me by. So it doesn't help at all. Somehow 32 gigabytes not enough for a multitasker, so I'm gonna have to go all out in that sense. And even though I have thought about downgrading the graphics card, like maybe 16 gigabyte version, 9060 XT, I don't know. That could always be an option, but it's only a bit below the RTX 3070. I need to look that up actually. I'll look up RX 9060 XT, because Gamers Nexus, yep, they've done one. Indeed, he just needs to shut up. Okay, good title. Promising. I'll look into it and see what I can do there. But I need something with a big sort of VRAM. I don't want something with too small a VRAM there. That's pretty important. The Endor 2 is probably one of the more complicated ones. It's kind of weird in that sense. I need the extra storage and I need potentially the better speeds. Does Corsair do memory? Storage, I mean? Hang on. It's just a bit less expensive than the fucking Evo, that was the point. Evo Plus is better. Again, that's Pro and that's about the same. I'm sort of struggling with this too, because NVMe's are quite expensive now, and I do need something a bit more fit for purpose there. Like, it's just hard to sort of cover the cost of this shit now, even with the correct options like finance. I'm not even going for the fanciest hardware, as I have to keep mentioning. I literally just want a sleeper PC. That's all I'm asking for. Nothing fancy, nothing too wacky either, and even though the case has some nice RGB on it, it's the Fractal Meshify 3, I'm only going to have the front RGB. I don't want anything else. It's just pointless. I don't like it. It's rainbow garbage, and my components in front of me are more than enough. Same with my backlighting here. So I don't need it, and I don't really understand why it has to be RGB though. A lot of these things, even the motherboard, I think, it has RGB on it. Like, why? The RAM doesn't, which is surprising. I'm not gonna lie. Also has CL30 latency. There's one of the few on there. I think you could go lower than that though. Not sure why they don't sell anything lower. Maybe it's just out of stock or something, or harder to get. Yeah, it's just sort of complicated. I've even got like these tabs open of things that I need to get. I also need some Steam things too, because there's like there's a Steam summer sale, obviously. It's on at the moment. And I just want to get these 2 games that are over half price taken off. The problem is I don't know if I'll get it in time. Like, when does the summer sale end? I'm curious. From now through to July 9th. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay. That's good. Get paid soon. Yeah, I'm getting Doom the Dark Ages and Revenge of the Savage Planet. I quite look forward to Revenge of the Savage Planet. What do people say? Very positive, 87. Okay. So, off about that. Doom the Dark Ages, 85% positive. Isn't bad. Certainly more games to play. And I'm getting around to them, obviously. Not sure when I'm going to stop Meccha Chameleon. To be honest, it's hard to know. Meccha Chameleon is fun. Again, the conversations I have about the fucking PC, going back and forth, it's like, okay, this PC is still working though. You don't need a new one. Yes, I fucking do. It needs more fans, and I don't know how to put a fan in it. I've tried looking it up, and it's too fucking complicated. There's a mystery how I managed to transfer my PC. I used to have an old PC and this, you know, GT640 and i5. I think it was 3500. Really old fucking core. It's quad core though. Actually, maybe it's like 4600 or something. It's Intel. But I managed to transfer that old Dell motherboard into his PC, and eventually that shorted as well. So that had to be replaced, and it's just got new things in it, and even got a fucking GTX 970 into it as well at some point. But thanks to that case, I was able to fit it. So that's kind of the point of it as well. Not just like the cooling aspect, it's also the case. And also had the optical drive in there. I forgot about that. Like, the fucking PC had an optical drive in 2016. It's just insane. And I had that for over 7 years before it started to fucking fail. The hard drive, I had one hard drive failure, but that's because it was the only one from my operating system. And then I put it on. Did I put it on an SSD the second time? I have a feeling I didn't. No, I don't think I did actually. And then when I got this PC, I also put it on the SSD there, and it just sped up. It was much better. I really fucking like SSD speed launch times. They're such a blessing, because I remember waiting like 2 to 5 minutes for the fucking hard drive to load. And the noise it made too is horrible. Thank fuck for SSDs though. Just literal saviour. But again, I'm doing these back and forths with this PC now, so it's not helping in the slightest. I'm still struggling. They think about going to like a Ryzen 5000 series again, but I don't know. The problem is they don't sell it here. Even then, the 7900X is just a generation behind, so I don't know. If I need to do research and understand these things better first, so I can make a better informed decision and stuff, and get it to work, obviously. So yeah, don't have anything else to add, but just felt like mentioning it. Just, it's a frustration of being so online, and to have actually thought about before, maybe just not going overkill on this and maybe transferring my skills to offline. But also, this is my last chance to get a fucking personal computer, so I'm never going to have that chance again, so I might as well make the most of it. I see that as a no-brainer until I start to get like art supplies and stuff. Speaking like, other than pen drawings, because that's the one I have, but I'd rather try to learn how to do like Ghibli backgrounds. You know, that'd be my sort of niche in that sense. It seems easy enough to make. I've seen people sort of making that, but my biggest worry is visualising it and making it work too. Because I'm obviously not that equipped for it. I need to find a way around that, but it looks easy enough. Like it's just colour blending and stuff, which I've done before. I did that in school and did it in even my hobby time actually. Weird fact about me, I actually used to do drawing outside of school. I wasn't just drawing in school. Yeah, it was just during the lessons when I was told not to. But yeah, I was just doing art, like I was doing painting as well. It didn't really work, sort of. Although it kind of transferred in a way. Some of my clouds is quite sharp. It's like a mix of digital era and also those sort of paintings, water paintings and stuff. And yeah, don't have anything else to add. That's about it. I got thinking about this because I saw like a video recommendation, I haven't watched it, about the worst communities online, and unsurprisingly the one that came up was Team Fortress 2. But that just reminded me because to say that Team Fortress 2 is one of the most toxic communities, one of the most degenerate as well, it's kind of not accurate. Let me explain. So I think because obviously criticising that, you're criticising a part of the community which is self-exists in the Steam like ecosphere, ecosphere, I don't know what to call it. And the reason why so many of these players are degenerates is probably because they're fucking gullible idiots, and even some probably have tons of money. Like there's you known cheaters who've been banned with like expensive inventories. And unfortunately I only knew these people because I was in the wrong fucking crowd. I was not stupid enough to cheat though, I can tell you that much. Even if I did, I would have said even now I deserve the fucking back ban. But again, these are the sort of people we're talking about. They're not just stupid, they're also just dangerous. And that applies to the entire Steam community. Because there are a lot of people out there who just don't make themselves known or even sort of talk about these things. But the problem is, there are many innocent players on the Steam community. And then you got these degenerates who completely fuck it up for everyone. Just create the worst sort of conditions for a game. You know, literally as I was talking about like Meccha Chameleon, I've suspected I might come across someone controversial, and I did. Someone with an N-word, and there's another one with like tarded in the name, but I'm a kind of hit or miss with that usually. But it's just so weird, and also Rupert though, as well, technically another racist Nazi. But yeah. So like 3 encounters in Meccha Chameleon so far with that. And very few like sane people it seems in just the Steam community and Steam player base in general. But I also think this is an issue for Valve, as in this can have severe consequences. I'm not even joking about this. I remember hearing about Australia, I think, was suing Steam, or Valve rather, for not moderating their content, their communities and stuff, because there's so much hate speech. And people might say like, oh, well, it's up to them if they choose to or not. You understand the fucking consequences of that, right? Like, hate speech in itself is one thing, but it's also what the people get up to in these places. You know, what the fuck are they doing in these games exactly? And also, like, how many fucked up things have they got? Because in TF2, I've actually, unfortunately, seen these players with, like, really offensive sprays and their conscientious objectors. And, you know, this game isn't obviously fucking moderated enough to address that, and so players often end up having to disable the sprays and obviously the images as well, and also profiles, because profiles are just bad. You can get profile pictures of anything, and again, this is a problem with having the place so unmoderated. You risk that sort of exposure, and then it's just dangerous to people, and some people just don't want to see that shit either. And no doubt that people in the TF2 community probably don't even want to see like furry porn and shit. It's a preferential thing, but again, people don't really want to see that because it's more of a personal, private thing. We're just not interested. It's just ridiculous, and not to mention the amount of illegal things that can happen on there too. It can happen. You know, someone could literally put a fucking ISIS beheading on a conscientious objector. Like, that's how dangerous it is. That's the problem with not moderating this. And it doesn't surprise me that Australia was suing Valve for that. You know, if they have, I don't know what the situation is now, so it knocks it up. This demonstrates perfectly the problem. And this is why it's seen as a degenerate community, because it is. It just fucking is. You get so many different types of people in just Steam communities in general. It's not just fucking TF2. You could even have it in Minecraft, apparently. I saw a video not long back actually of someone going into the racist Minecraft servers hosted by some guy close to Elon, I think. Really fucking weird. And you know, you agree for server, thank fuck. Just actually remove a lot of that shit. But yeah, it's like fucking what are we even doing here? It's so fucking bizarre. And then Valve and even like Mojang to an extent, they're not even moderating this. That's the problem. You give people the free wills and they'll obviously take the wills, just fuck it up. Yeah, it's just a ridiculous amount of racism and bigotry. Like, I categorise it as a few different things here, because there is a difference between everything that's going on. Because I think a lot of people think they're all in the same boat, but they can be and they can't be. Essentially, it's the same thing, and they have been fighting too. So keep that in mind. But the way I see it, it seems like, from my perspective, there are like different categories. So you got children who maybe just innocent, don't really do anything. Maybe an occasional word or two in voice chat, you never know. They definitely exist in these games, and even TF2, yes, even Minecraft, racist servers, yep. But, you know, there's not much you can do about them. Again, unless they've done something absolutely criminal, in that case it's fine to just arrest them. And also there's not really many issues, but they are also just equally can be on the side of bigotry, and because of how the world is now, it's going to get worse. You're going to see more like toxic children and stuff, and just more anger and hatred from them. But at the same time, you also see those who express themselves, and also is nice. It's also concerning because it means that they're vulnerable to not just other children, but the other categories and the other ones. It's just past children. It's also trolls. It's also, because that can include children. So racist and fascists. Again, there's so many different categories. There can be multiple for one person, but they exist. So that's always an issue. Again, because of an unmoderated community. And no, age verification won't work. Shut the fuck up, UK. Idiots putting that in. This education actually prevents a lot of the harm. Especially like stuff like this, like bigotry and racism. If you taught people critical thinking, there would be less problems, I guarantee you that. You know, other categories, trying to think, there's definitely another one in that, but I can't remember. There's also adults, obviously. Basically, most of us, probably the more rational thinking lot. They're not really associated with any sort of group, except for woke, I suppose. Some of us are woke. But we're not even the toxic part of it. The toxic fandom, anyway. So no, there's no such thing as like a woke sort of adult population in games. It's just a general thing as well. You get woke children plenty of the time. And yeah, can't really avoid it. So what do I even add here? Yeah, as I said, there's like tons of dangers here which Valve are not addressing themselves, which I find frankly bizarre. Again, they're not moderating it, and then it's causing issues. This is what I mean. This is why there are problems. But, look at the Steam communities, they're the fucking toxicest communities there are. And it's a platform that everyone uses, and even despite all the changes that, or other wins that Valve has, I think the reason why they have so many just awful users on there is just because Valve are technically always in the right for what they do. And it's not always the case, there are definitely things they're wrong about. But they're always doing what's best for the players, and that gets recognised by everyone alike. There are even people who don't like surveillance who are like bigoted and stuff. So it's a very, admittedly they won't like this, but it's a very diverse sort of system, an ecosystem in that sense. So you find it everywhere. It's unavoidable. And that's, that could be a good and a bad thing. Again, I'm not 100% sure how you address this problem either. Because I think Valve do need to moderate it, and there maybe needs to be like scans on like certain names and account activities. There's no doubt some similarities between these, or something you can actually figure out where the problem is. Also, because they obviously don't want to lose profit, that's the problem. They don't want these accounts to necessarily disappear because of something they've done. So if they have a soft sticker in their avatar and they're buying tons of games, like, what can they even do? Nothing, it seems. And even though they've technically got a report option for that, it just does seem like they're not going to do much in either way, because it's about profit in the end, and that's just our reality. I don't think Valve is really on our side, it's just that they're really finding ways to chase the money by being different. Just sort of a criticism I've had of other companies before. Because sometimes they're not creative, sometimes they are. Valve is a rare case. Yeah, they're not like pushing the envelope in that sense, recreating it in a way. It's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, again, going to communities, I'll just prove this for a second. And you'll see all the shit they do that people get away with. But, Meccha Chameleon, recent example. Goes to Community Hub. See. What's this? Something Russian. Advertising in Discord. Nice. Fuck. What is this shit? Yeah, guide, and I'm not gonna look at that. Russian. I think it's Russian. Some Chinese. No updates today, dead game, GG. I'll see a fucking troll post, crashing over time, pains. People are addressing crashes. See, they are definitely bigoted posts. I've seen them before, not in this community, but they exist in others. Let's see. I don't know, but I've seen it on their own actually. It's better to look at the updates, because that's a cesspit for comments. They celebrated like 10 million copies recently, and let's see what they say. Okay, it's just people spamming comments. Like, what the fuck? Just saying they're one-liners that are not really accounts from what I could tell, because they ain't got anything going on in them. And there's a strange one as well with, there seems to be someone spamming something about LGBT content. This is one of the strange things. Because I feel like there's like troll players out there, not actual sort of like LGBTQ plus people. I think these are just trolls. They're not actually doing things for the benefit of that. Just shit. And yeah, just some strange reactions to it as well. And also someone got banned, I think. Sorry, there's another. That's kind of ironic. See anything else? I definitely have sort of bad comments here and there. Yeah, but again, it's not like frequent in these places. It's just they do exist and they are horrific. I've got screenshots like anything there. No, it's pretty much more the same. I'm not sure. Like that's a brilliant fucking hiding spot. Someone on Nuketown and standing next to one of the mannequins. That's a fucking holding hands with the guy. It's just that's one of the amazing things about this game. It explores so much different types of creativity. It's goofy as fuck. Yeah, luckily not really thingies. Not any bad like screenshots either, it seems. Again, they do exist, 100% there. Just a matter of whether Valve does anything, and this will become a problem that will backfire on them. Unless, like, obviously, Trump or something is behind them, and there's a massive problem. Well, Trump is a massive problem anyway, I'm not saying. But there's just so many problems that can prop up of this. Again, it violates various laws across the world because of obviously hate speech and obviously imagery. It's not on the reliance of on the problem of the devs really. In most cases, it's not. But it tends to be a Valve problem mainly because they're allowing these players here. And I've got to bring this up even though it's really important. Like Mixtape, for example. This game got called out, and rightfully so. It seems to be a very overrated game that I can agree with. They got tons of perfect scores somehow, even though it was not a perfect game. Even I noticed it wasn't perfect. Even then, I am quite just what do you say? I'm quite criticism heavy. I'm heavy on the criticism. And to me, like Mixtape, it was not even an 8 out of 10 for me. It lacked so much like possible gameplay. It's like more like a 6 out of 10. It's like 5 maybe. There seems to be a lot of like positive reviews on this, but again, if they're paid or not, but it's a very strange scenario, and people are calling out, which is fine. You know, it's an example of a game where if it got review bombed, actually I wouldn't really care. It kind of needs the negative reviews anyway, because for a game like this, it doesn't seem like it is a 10 out of 10. It's just not worth it. And yeah, like it being published by Annapurna Interactive, obviously very suspicious. Yeah, it's like games like this, is even just the games themselves, like why are they not moderating them? I feel like something like that, it needs to be moderated. I think the reviews need to be investigated by Valve's own team somehow. And then the game should be obviously adjusted so what they're showing isn't the exact reviews there they've got. It's bizarre that everyone gave it 100 or 10 out of 10. It's just nuts. But then you've got a game where the community is just unhinged, and at least, you know, the game was decent, it looks. But it got review bombed because it had a woman overlooking it, or a feminist rather. It didn't change its positive review score, but it's still mixed, and it only got this negative review score back in May and April and March, it seems, because of someone who was a feminist who overlooked the game and basically directed on how to make a female character or NPC. which is, again, it's very subjective. It's very fucking strange to even bring something like this up, given that it was not an issue for a majority of the positive reviews, which apparently is like 62,000, over 63,000 actually. But yeah, but a lot of these people are crying about it being overlooked by a woman for some reason. Why aren't Valve doing anything fucking about this? That's absolutely ridiculous. So how can I sort by that? Okay, there we go. I don't know what was on it, but some of the reviews are about the early access, which is interesting. Many hours and somehow disappointed with the game, which is weird. I'm like 99% sure that there was a bunch of reviews talking about how this one feminist was overlooking the game, and I did see them. I do remember that, and I reckon it might still be a conversation in the community, possibly. I forget how you view communities in this. Can't find it. Oh, why the fuck isn't there just a community button? Few discussions there is. So yeah, let's see, anything absolutely bigoted on there? Wow, the simp game for this game is at its all-time high because like, oh, this game sucks. That's a yikes. It's obviously a troll. Yeah, believe it or not, people can like a game. It's not my sort of thing, but who cares? The same way Elden Ring isn't my sort of thing. Anything else? Any other troll things? Like, how bad can it get? Here we go. Anita Sarkeesian is an awesome freedom fighter. We should totally support her and welcome her. All haters who trash her. No honor, no rules, bit of cringe. Shame on you, welcome Anita to the Spire team. Not sure if it's a troll or what. But also the comments are going to be weird. She is a misandress. Why do you hate men? She's never come out saying that. So I don't know. Let's see. So name Anita Sarkeesian misandress. See if it comes up. Nope. 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 That's not even related to her. No, nothing. Like, again, I'm unbiased in this sense, and there isn't any proof of this. Like, good job. You've completely invalidated yourself. A fucking clown. I'm gonna give that a funny award. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, what a fucking joke. Like, the thing is, I reviewed that. I reviewed the Anita Sarkeesian PDF file about how to design women in games, and even though I'm born male, non-binary, obviously identified non-binary, I realise there are issues with that. Some of it doesn't make sense, but others do. And I think that also shows that people are not actually reading into this. And on top of that, people are just stupid. They're thinking that, like, why are feminists suddenly coming up and rising saying that we need more women in games and stuff and working on games, which by the way they do. They're not women working on games all the time. Absolute morons. But DEI actually just works in games. And not many people realise that. But even then I took issues with some of that. It's like most things I can agree on in that file and other things I couldn't. It's just not from a preferential perspective, but rather how it treats women. And yeah, some of it's like too harmful towards women in my opinion. I'm not even a feminist, I'd argue. I did something podcast about that. So it's worth going back to that. So let's see. Other response. No balls, bro. Bro, we who stand up against this shit actually do have morals. You don't, you just roll with it and accept everything. I have no clue why Mega Career would hire such controversial figures. Needs to sort accusation as an insult. Your companies in the world wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. There's no reason your poor powerful person should think this is a good idea to bring her in, no matter how small her consulting role supposedly was. Which all this shit we're fucking tired of woke consultants baggage ruining games. I didn't need them in the first place. We gamers don't accept shit like this. And we have seen this in other woke games with woke figures behind it. Fucking an absolute moron. Yeah, what a joke. Again, people who use the term woke don't actually know what that actually means. It's quite funny. You can easily troll them on that. Because they can't even define it. Because it's always different. It's like a no true Scotsman fallacy. Yeah, saying there's like no morals, it's just ridiculous. We're saying you are moral actually for opposing, like, again, like this feminist stance, which is obviously the thing being addressed here, but they don't say feminist, like an idiot. But there's no morality in doubling down on feminism at all. It's just immorality in that case. Because women have had to fight for many decades now to get their rights, to get their right to express themselves, to vote, to drive, to even work a fucking job, even go in the military. And it was only until recently, obviously, that they could go and do that. We're talking like the last 20, 40 years, I think. Again, it's just ridiculous that for some reason cisgender men of all people have to say that women don't have any rights when you're not even a fucking woman yourself. Why are you deciding what women can and can't do if you're not a fucking woman yourself? It makes no sense. There is zero empathy here. You have zero evidence. And worst of all, there's no morality in that. Just complete fucking idiot. And then, again, working with like controversial figures, I have to agree with that. Actually, it's one of the few things I do agree with. No doubt, sarcasm is controversial because of this. But the problem is, she isn't the worst controversial figure in this. There are far worse people to work on these games. Like, I wish I could name a few because it's been so long since I refreshed my memory on that. I'm saying like developers or publishers are probably worse than having an advisor like Anita Sarkeesian. Even then, to say that quote unquote real companies wouldn't touch her, it's just false because they do. I'm pretty sure Overwatch had some involvement with her, I could be wrong. But I remember she looked at Overwatch very favourably in terms of how I designed women. So it's just nuts. Just such a fucking dumb comment. It's just bad. Anyway, anything else? Taking freedom from others for yourself doesn't make you a freedom fighter. She is a misandrist and a virtue signaling monster. Again, there's no fucking evidence for this. You people are just pulling words out of your own arse. There's nothing here, there's nothing fucking misandric about designing women the way that they want to be designed. Like, come on. It's like designing a fucking Mexican character without consulting a Mexican first. Because I'm pretty sure they're tired of that fucking sombrero stereotype. I can almost guarantee you that. Even the immigrant stereotype. They probably just want to be something else. So, yeah. Again, it's just so fucking stupid, these comments. And as a freedom fighter, like, that's not what she's even doing. She's a feminist, not a fucking freedom fighter. I don't know what else she does. it's just so bad. I think someone is responding to this. Someone responded to the Sandra's claim I just mentioned. It says by an English-speaking player where your player base have done the same things Chinese players would, and will leave negative review because game is unbalanced and mocked us with the word knee-jerk reaction. I guess you guys find your own knee-jerk reaction and help them out. I don't know what the fuck that even means. Yeah, what a stupid fucking load of comments. Again, it's just one of those things, it's like, I can't really necessarily agree with the OP here, obviously. Again, she's a feminist, not a freedom fighter. She's totally spot on, welcome her. I'm mixed on that. I think objectively speaking, there is a reason to take caution, but I think, again, there isn't any problem to encouraging a debate in that sense, or discussion. So there is no loss to avoiding that, really. And then the other thing, all you haters trusting her, yep, they literally are. No wonder, no remorse, just pure cringe, yep, it's true. Shame on you. So yeah. This is what I mean. Valve are not moderating these communities. They're filled with people who promote hate speech and harass other players, like this as well. That they're doing here, and also say the OP is a bit as well. So yeah, I'm calling both out. Even though I sort of get the point, it's just not the right point to make. At worst, the post should be removed, and those making the comments should be fucking banned. They're putting out false information. They're using terms like woke for the starters, which also indicates there is probably a reason to investigate them, because only the anti-woke crowd are typically guilty of things like paedophilia, rape, child abuse, murder, violence, and many more. I need to list anything else. So yeah, again, there's reasons to investigate these accounts. It's just so fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I'll move on. Yes, I heard about the brand doing something stupid again. As if they hadn't already done enough stupid things, it seems. And yeah, people might be wondering, what the fuck are you on about? Well, they've never done a stupid thing in their life. They just had a good marketing strategy, so you say. But it's still corporate fucking propaganda. That's what people don't realise. And on top of that, they've offered useless products. Basically, skins for everything, but no functionality. And then they come out recently with something about the Steam machine. I heard this one was critical. But they offered a skin for the Steam machine, which was the companion cube. And obviously that breaches some copyright laws and stuff. And they obviously can't sell it because of that. But they needed a license to do that, to begin with. And they never even got one. And I'm guessing, as most critical brought up, it is to do with just the publicity aspect here. So that they weren't even really giving a shit what would happen as a consequence. This is the thing with companies like Dbrand. Even though you can do some things right, the other things aren't great. Like the transparency, for sure, was definitely a unique aspect, and also they weren't afraid to actually go after customers. But it's one of the dumbest things as well. Because like, yeah, they should have gotten a license, but I also have to say Valve are in a way too. Even though I don't really have much good to say about Dbrand, I don't think they should be going around telling people what they can and cannot sell. You know, like why hasn't any company gone after Etsy or Temu, for example, which I'm pretty sure fucking knocks off a bunch of this stuff, or even AliExpress, I think it's called, or is it Alipop? I can't remember. Two names for some reason. You know, people flip this shit on there, absolutely unlicensed. And it's just so bizarre anyway that, you know, this crap happens, and sometimes it's punishment, other times it's not. You know, honestly, it's quite a miracle that some channels that have covered like Pokemon stuff haven't actually been taken down yet, like, you know, music covers and stuff. Just so bizarre. But yeah, like, I've gotta say though, it's just another D-brand L here. Yeah, D-brand doesn't do anything special, and honestly, if they were out on the market, I just wouldn't care. Because it sort of dates back to one of their really out-of-touch things where they're advertising a leather product and they keep bragging that they killed a cow for it. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's really dystopian. Like, not only that, it probably also turned people away from them, unsurprisingly, because they made the connection. They realised that that was a real cow at one point. And cows, as we've seen, as many people have seen by now, are like big dogs. And would you kill a big dog? I don't think people would. But again, when you equate that to another animal like your pets, you obviously wouldn't do that. So why even do that to a cow? It just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not vegan, but Jesus Christ. I'll talk about inconsistency here, and double standards. But yeah, that's like one of the main issues I took with D-brand, and the other thing was obviously just the skins. They offered no functionality whatsoever, just offered crap, and essentially nothing that anyone can use. You know, it's a bit like the Ridge wallet in a way. Like, the Ridge wallet, I think, is personally very useless. It's one of the most useless products I've seen. Because, yes, it keeps down bulge, but the thing is, it's inspiring a card-only like society, and there's no capacity for like paper or cash or whatever you call it. So it's just pointless. And at that point, you'd rather have a bulge, I think. But that's assuming it doesn't fit any, because I couldn't find any info on it before. But I was thinking of getting one, just to see if I can maybe fit things in it. It'd be a handy little thing to have as well. I already have the Ridge key thing, which keeps the keys organised, although it's not very accessible because for some reason they made the cutout too small, and so it's hard to pick anything out. Because UK keys are very different to US keys, I think. So it's a bit stupid. You know, even then it just provides functionality. It provides this bulge. It doesn't cut into my skin like it used to. Like, that was a problem with keys, and even with like a bunch of things on the keychain, which you could still have on this, by the way. It just wasn't very optimal, and I reckon there's probably better alternatives out there for like a key thing. It's also kind of difficult to get off at times as well, because you need like to unscrew the thing, which is easy enough if you have like a coin or if it's like small, like a pick. But it's just an annoyance to put things on. It kind of makes you wish there was a better way. But yeah, that's why I criticise certain companies. Because sometimes the functionality is there, but it's not utilised properly. And when, obviously in like D-brand's case, there's no functionality, there's no point in giving into it. But it's just pointless. It's just an absolutely useless brand, obviously, with useless products. Honestly, I'm surprised they've been going for as long as they have, but it's probably because they strike deals with bigger channels out there. It's just, strange enough, it's like Tech Tips, a channel I used to watch years ago, but being on and off now, and you know, it's just really annoying with the clickbait shit, and it's just providing no value really. It's just one of the worst channels out there, and they rightfully got called out by the likes of Gamers Nexus. I think, did Lewis Rossman also call them out? I can't remember actually, I think they did. Yeah, again, just a very controversial channel. It doesn't surprise me, and that's the other thing with this. The thing with like D-brand and stuff, it's kind of like a Trumpian future. That's what they're offering there. I could be wrong on this, but a lot of manga and stuff seem to base everything off aesthetics. And this is kind of the exact thing they want. It's like the only thing they want in life is just to appear quote unquote good or strong or masculine or some shit. And, you know, ironically enough, D-Brand kind of does that. It's kind of the same thing. I could be wrong. Man, there's so many stupid things from D-Brand. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to add, to be honest. I just have to complain about this because it's just so dumb. Again, there's wrong parts in both sides, but there's not really much going for D-Brand as it currently stands. Again, there's like no functionality. And for a phone, you want it to not break when you fucking drop it. So while you're offering like a flip case, a flip case is like a no-brainer for that. Like, it just protects your phone, and even protects it from dust and debris. And even then, I found it to protect it from, you know, overheating in a way. In a weird way, it does. But yeah, I don't really know what else to add, but just feel like playing about this really. Otherwise, it's good to see that D-Brand's teeth are being kicked in a way. It's sort of warranted at this point. And the amount of crap they do. The amount of crap that nobody needs actually or wants, no matter. Just absolutely useless company. Yeah. It's very weird. Anyway, I'll move on. This is something I've been thinking about because of a recent political cluster video exposing a DP audit thing where this cunt went into a coffee shop despite being a protester for the fascists, as you might expect. And yeah, making some more comments after the fact saying he would kidnap and rape the person's wife and daughter. Okay, great. Not really, that's horrible. You know, it just goes to show that there are issues here, but it makes me wonder about the aspect of denying service to fascists and Nazis, or specifically here, reform and restore voters. There's an interesting aspect because I think there is actually credibility to potentially doing something like that, just on the basis that they serve to dismantle your own business. So you're a local coffee shop, like, let's get that out of the way. Like, yes, you shouldn't fucking serve people like this. They should know that these people, these fascists in these protests, also being horrible to people, making customers uncomfortable, as the coffee owner said, they're the ones who are going to destroy this fucking business. It's essentially the same as someone robbing it. Because that is literally what they're doing. So this fucking auditor, whatever this idiot's job is, I'm not even 100% sure what an auditor is, it's just going to destroy these sort of local coffee shops and these local places, which is just so fucking absurd to me. But this is an argument in favour of kicking those people out, because they are the ones that actively seek to harm business, and that is very much transparent. Because they seek to harm business, they are therefore criminals on the property. So these people cannot be really taken seriously and even let allowed in these places to begin with. I find it as absurd again. There's just so much ridiculousness in what these reform, restore voters are doing, even Conservatives to an extent, and even Labour to an extent. Just absolutely ridiculous, and they don't even see the issue with their actions. That's the problem. Because that's going to be one of the bigger things here. You know, that's going to be the bigger protest, in my opinion. It's like when their actions lead to dire consequences and destructions of places that are, again, like locally owned, maybe even locally farmed, then there's going to be big issues. Because they're going to have to then protest again even potentially revolt or overthrow, because those businesses have been taken out, because they don't have their favourite place, if it is a favourite place to begin with. And yeah, they're getting so many fucking consequences. They have to face not just the privatisation of the NHS, it's also just everything else around what reform have really started doing, like cutting out benefits, for example, for people like me who literally rely on it, because I cannot get a job. There is no sustainable way for me to hold down a job in my current state. My Crohn's disease will play me up, my autism will cause issues, make it unbearable in ways, and my mixed anxiety adds 3 extra layers of problems too. So again, there is no world where you could say, oh, you should just get a job then if you're so worried about money. I can't. There isn't. And on top of that, their version of ICE will also seek to take me off the streets. In fact, I'm not even going to put it past them that they want people with disabilities to be thrown into the same detention centres as migrants. So again, we've got these issues, and it affects you down the line. These are the fucking consequences. If you have an autistic child, what a disservice you're doing to them, and what an abusive fucking practice. Well, Jesus Christ, you think protecting them from the immigrants is going to save them, but you ignore the fact that reform are just going to harm them. This is how absurd everything is getting these days. It's just fucking ridiculous. So yeah, obviously people should deny business with these people, and even if you have official names and stuff, when it comes to online transactions, again, deny business, because these people are actively seeking to put you out of work. Even though you could take their money, the problem is it doesn't send a message. They need to understand that when they've been kicked out for something they've done, that's for a very good reason. It's like if you know that there's a sort of sex offender in public or something, maybe that's actually publicly listed. I don't actually know if they are publicly listed, but if they're known to be creepy or what, then businesses have a right to just kick them out, to keep them out, and even call police on them. So again, it's sort of the same sort of vein here. Both seek to harm, and both just have no place in these sort of areas. Especially a coffee shop as well. And again, people are there to either relax or get a quick drink, but they don't want to fucking face these absolute morons. They're just tearing the country apart and also putting them out of work as well. Again, that adds to discomfort. So there's even an obligation from the customers to again get these people out. I sort of feel that whenever I've gone to a restaurant. What are these people thinking exactly? It's something that runs through my mind a few times. Because I don't want to be near these fucking people. I want them to just be out of my sight. Preferably in a fucking prison. Because they're literally criminals. Because of their politics. Again, it sucks to say, I'm not even someone who's biased in a sense. But again, I base it on truth, and the truth has led me to this conclusion. So there are obvious issues there. It cannot be ignored. So yeah, it's very important. That's why I bring it up, and that's why it should be enforced. Yeah, that's everything else to add, so I'll move on in a second. I've got the time. Well, I need to talk about these 2 things, tech related. First, search engine rather, and then I'm going to talk about my PC situation and how I weighed it up, but I need a new one. I can't troubleshoot it. So, where do I even start? Browser, the search engine rather. So I think the search engine, I'm using .go, and it's been hit or miss really, in all honesty. It's not been great, but it's been good enough that I can get used to it. But there's been aspects that just suck. Like search results can be mixed, the shopping page can be a bit weird, and images are mostly good. In fact, I need to double check that. So photography is my test, and you know, it's a test for whether something's AI or not, because there's a lot of fucking AI Fox photography. Because I remember doing research on this, and you know, one of the biggest problems with browsers, it seems like, or engines really, it's just this fucking fact that, you know, it's like absolutely fucking broken in terms of the amount of AI searches that exist and appear. That's just ridiculous, and judging by the search results here with AI image search off, because you can do that, you can hide them. Yeah, like per every few images, it doesn't seem to be many AIs here. I think there's one here that slipped through, but it's like every few images on every other search engine is like terrible, because it just shows only AI stuff, and it's fucking annoying because you want photography, not AI generated shit. And still, there's much less here, and it's just a better image search, in my opinion. Found one there now, found another. So some still slip through, but you compare that to something like Brave Search, which I try to use, and also the other one, and Start Page. And you know, it's still not good enough. Those two, literally Brave Search only shows AI images. I don't know what the fuck the deal with it is, but it just shows that. It's barely any photography. And then the other one, which is more baffling, Startup, was just, it's like half AI, half real. So no search engine is good there. And then those two actually lack shopping pages. I don't really care about the other features that much, but still, it's fucking terrible. There's no good search engines out there, it seems. It's crazy that DuckDuckGo is probably the only one that literally tries to remove AI, while the others don't. And then I watched a channel for this originally, because I was thinking, well, everyone's moving from Google now, there must be some good search engines. Nope. The ones that were suggested from this channel I found, I forgot the name. Literally, I tried 2 of the 4 suggestions, already using one of them, which is DuckDuckGo. And the other one is like premium, but I don't even know if it can hide AI search results. That's sort of the problem here, you can't escape it no matter what. So it's just really bad. It sucks as well, because again, I'm someone who uses references for artwork, and so eliminating the amount of AI slop in those references is absolutely crucial. Like, it's insanely important to avoid that. Literally, I can't stress enough how important that is. And yet, you know, these fucking search engines seek to fuck us over with that, for some stupid reason. So it's getting ridiculous, and I'm just waiting for a good alternative at this point, because I don't know when there is going to be an alternative, if there is one. But we do seriously need one, I know that. And it just makes me wonder what can be done. You know, something like a Google index I'm fine with. I actually didn't have many problems with Google. They're becoming more useless as it went along. But I like a mix of like Bing and Google, using those indexing, because that seems like a good alternative in my opinion. But there isn't one like that, because the others, again, it needs to have AI image search off, especially AI image search, because the search thing I can really give or take, I'd rather not have one. But the images are a fucking big deal for someone like me, so I do not want to see that shit. Avoiding as much AI as I can is definitely the best option. So DuckDuckGo is the no-brainer for non-AI searches. It just goes without saying. You can prove it yourself as well. Look up any sort of photography, like a place you have an interest in or something. So yeah, hang on. Panic mode. Yeah, it's just very, very weird. But this is on to the next thing, which is about my system. And my system is very interesting. So yeah, I did some thinking about this because I was wondering, do I actually need an upgrade? And the answer is yeah. So I looked into it, I discovered some things, and it turns out that actually I do really need a new system. I actually listed the things that were problematic for me here, because it's very important to weigh that up. Without weighing it up, I'm not doing myself a favour here. I could, for all I know, just be wasting my money, pissing in the wind, pissing on myself. That's actually fun. So the first thing I found, video card having issues like crashing and running out of memory, which is a new one. Didn't even know it could, but it's because the indie games don't always tell you what the fucking memory is. Thanks, Meccha Chameleon. So that's an issue. And then the other thing that happened is CPU not fast enough. I find this with FL Studio primarily. It seems to be an issue there. If it's sort of own doing in that sense. And yeah, just it's annoying. So the CPU load is not good enough. I have a 5800X at the moment. I think of upgrading to a 9900X, which seems like a no-brainer as well because it's only a little more than the 7900X, and again it's more up to date, so it's probably better. But then I've been suggested to get better RAM for that, which I'm not sure about exactly, but I think I'll trust in the process anyway. So that should be good, perhaps. And then what's the next thing? Not enough intake fans. And also the cooling cooler, I forgot to explain that. I don't know what my cooler is. I think it's like a Corsair i115. I'd like to say. I could probably see my parts somewhere if I look between my legs and then do a search term. Let's see, beauty specialist. I order. It's out of order. No, that's not it. Thanks. Emails. Just a special. No, that's not it. Everyone uses specialist now, alright. What date was it? Oh, this. Maybe? Oh, here we go. This is attachment. So let's see. Yeah, here it is. So it's a cooling bag. Yeah, there's a Corsair H100X Hydro. I think it was a very old cooler. It's just a problem because I remember researching it and I couldn't find much on it, and I didn't want to spend so much more for a fucking cooler for a CPU of this sort of caliber, which in itself wouldn't be that much of a performance increase, but you're gonna have to be careful. So I kind of had to take it carefully there in that sense, to just be aware of that. But this time I'm doing it carefully and I'm going with an Arctic freezer liquid thing, AIO obviously. AIO is such a fucking tongue twister for some reason. It's so weird. But yeah, and then the other problem is my ASIO driver stopping. Okay, thanks. It's doing this again on my headphones, I don't know why. It's really fucking annoying. Is it working now? I don't know. Mostly didn't do anything to mic. Yeah, so the other thing is the fans on my Corsair 4000D. So I looked up tests for this and it turns out that it runs well. The problem is it's an old model, and I don't know if that's a difference maybe. But there's only one intake fan at the back and an outtake fan at the... No, one intake fan at the front and one outtake at the back. And obviously the AIO. So there's no fresh air getting in to cool the components, and that's then leading to more problems. And you might think that, why don't you just get fucking fans added to it? Because I don't know how to fucking do it. And I've somehow transferred a system before from one case to another, but that was like years ago when I was really into the PC stuff. I don't know how I can do that with this, because I have to take apart a lot of things, and there's already supposedly used space on the fan controller, and even then it's hidden under the fucking motherboard. So that's not good. I'm at a disadvantage there. And then the case as well, I forgot about this actually. The front I/O doesn't work. Like, what? How? When? So, like, the only thing that works is USB 2, but USB-C refuses to work, the audio jack refuses to work, and whatever that button is, I don't know what it does. It's not the power button. I do know what the power button is, I think. But even then, this sort of makes me doubt it. So I don't know what's going on there, so I need a new case. I'm pretty sure it's hooked in. It was like that. It wasn't like that when I got it, I mean. It's just weird. And again, it's fucking headphones. I'm gonna plug it in back again. There we go. So that's another thing. The RAM, not enough speed or capacity it seems, because I seem to be peaking every now and then. Not sure what it is that's doing it. Like, if I look now, I've got FL Studio games, browser. Oh, look at that. 88% memory on my 32 gigabytes. Thanks. Come again. It's fucking nuts. And then I look down the list and there's nothing using it. You got the odd like 1 or 20s stuff and then 40 and 50. Even over the time it doesn't add up to even the hundreds, and then the hundreds barely even make up for like 2 gigabytes, and then the thousands barely even make up for like 15. So the calculations don't make sense here. It's configured properly in the BIOS. I did make sure of that, because I had a feeling when they did it, they didn't actually activate it for some reason. PC Specialist, which I also need to do for the next one, I think, if I do it carefully. So it's a bit weird. Not exactly sure about it. Also, what is it even listing here? Was it being committed 57 gigabytes of 69? Did I download more RAM? 4.6 left. Sure. The mega transfers used, slots used, in use. Oh, there we go. 23 is probably more accurate. Not sure about the pulls, what they do. That's weird. Also, for some reason, my USB device is being used heavily. That's weird. GPU barely being used. Like 3D is being 21% at the moment. But if I go in game quick, 3D goes off a bit. It's about 38%. Just weird. Video encodes. Is that 5%? Video decode. I don't know what that percent is. 6%. It's just pretty short. Small writing memory. 6.7. Oh fuck. Of 8 gigabytes. Actually, no, it's 5.7. And then shared GPU memory barely used. So yeah, some getting its uses, some not. It's weird. That's interesting. My CPU is actually going over the clock now. I never really used to when I first got it. So I stuck at like a base 380 rather, gigahertz. I'm not sure about cores used. Is there a way to resource monitor? No, that looks scary. No, I'm going to close that. Fuck it. Yes, a RAM issue. Motherboard, not enough USBs on the back. No Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which I want to use Bluetooth, by the way. I want to do it for just my headphones, I think, if there's no delay. But that's if there's no delay. So I find it handy to wear my headphones just remotely. It would really help. It'd save setting up my phone and stuff for that. So it would be great. And what's the next thing? I need a bigger SSD. Is that the only thing? Motherboard? Also, the motherboard had an issue. I think motherboard potentially fried components from power outage. So yeah, that's another thing. I need a bigger SSD because 1 terabyte was not enough for Windows plus software. So I'm going to need to move that somehow. I did think about reinstalling, and then there's lag spike issues caused by, oh yeah, sort of mentioned that. It's potentially PSU as well. So yeah, it's on its last legs. Like, it's just weird. So as I said, it's sort of a thing I need to do, and yes, whilst I could like flip the RAM off and just sell that for an extra bit of cash, I'd rather keep this as a backup, in all honesty. You know, it'll still last for another 5 years in this market, and even then it'll go up in price, even with the issue ahead. So it's kind of one of those things, I think. Sort of don't lose anything by getting anything new. If anything, I upgrade, but I do lose something if I stick with this, I think, and then potentially miss out on having like another personal computer. Not to mention one that's probably better fitted for the situation. So yeah, that's interesting. Don't remember the order price being like that. Apparently the order price was cheaper than initially was, so it's like twice as expensive on new one. That's kind of nuts, not gonna lie. Not sure if that's good or not. I'll double check, and to go through the system again. What I've got selected at the moment, hang on, glasses are annoying me. Damn OCD. Fractal Mission 5.3. I'm deciding to go with normal one rather than Ambience Pro. The Ambience just seems to be an LED upgrade. I can't see any difference between the two. There's no features that distinguish it either from the looks of it. And then AMD Ryzen 9 9900X Gigabyte X870E Eos Elite and 64GB core 7 inches RAM. Apparently I need to go 6,000 MHz on this for some reason. And I'm going to seal 30 as well, fuck it. Not sure how good that's going to go. I think there's always an option to upgrade later on. The worst comes to worst. It's all DDR5 here, which is interesting. Yeah, it's going to be good to have 64 gigs. Going with an AMD RX 9070. I have heard about the competition cards now. I forgot who's Gamers Nexus has it. Interviewed, I think it was like, I can't remember what they called themselves, Thundernaut. So they're making a GPU competitor for obviously in the market, which is good in my opinion. I think it's going to be a good thing for it. Definitely necessary as well, because we don't want this MAGA shit that's going on, corruption, and they're sucking off the POTUS, as I say. So yeah, like fuck that. Potentially someone I'd go for if there was, if they're out there already. And yeah, got a decent power supply. I think it's the right power supply. I did input it before and it said about 750 draw, but I can't tell. But the problem is the cooling says it needs a bit more, but I don't know how true that is. So I might have to calculate again. So PSU power draw calculator might help. Some of these tools are good, some of them are not. I could do it quite quick actually. RAM to SSD SATA. I think I've got 2 of them actually. I should have unselected that. Is it NVMe? There's no NVMe for storage, which is interesting, and there's a cold-laser, a bit of a weird one option. It doesn't seem to say what the size is, so I'm guessing like 120 millimeters with times 3. Guessing that's the size I'm looking at. Then calculates, and it's for some reason now it's like 489. Recommended 650, so 750 probably the best one. If I had to guess. Yeah, so actually I can go down a bit, which is good. That's enough though. The price difference is very small. PSCs. It's surprising how cheap they are. Yeah, don't know what else. It's going to be interesting though to get a new PC. Dread sort of setting up and reinstalling everything, but it will be good at sort of exercise, I guess, in a way. Sort of give me an idea of everything that I need to run, and the only problem I see is with not being able to access the other computer. I don't know how bad things can go, because no information is saved necessarily, but I do have things written down for that. So I don't know, there's some complications, some not so much, but it'd be good to have a fresh install either way. Anyway, let's move on. I feel like these two are kind of related in a way. Not 100%, but sort of. I feel like talking about it though. So, first one, Political Custard. Again, with another great upload, although this one's more of a challenging one because it's just frustrating. It's about a Pakistani taxi driver who wasn't being paid by the person who took the taxi willingly, and it's because of a racist arsehole. And he's telling the taxi driver that he needs to go back to his own country, while the taxi driver is just asking for some money for the taxi fare. It's just fucking pathetic. Like, come the fuck on. At this point, the UK government is complicit in everything like this. Because it's just ridiculous that this shit is allowed. Just for starters, it's so fucking absurd. Then why is it allowed, to begin with, to have some very obvious, nasty, racist people saying this shit to the driver, like saying he's going to be killed because he shouldn't be in this country, he should go back home if he doesn't like it. It's just fucking ridiculous. I really don't understand the logic of these people, and yet the other pathetic thing is you have to understand that there are people who are not only racist but also anti-migrant who don't do this. Who don't steal from a fucking taxi driver of a different ethnicity. Who pay their fares. Who show up and put up with it. But the point is, to be this much of an arsehole because of how you've been radicalised online by the wealthy elite is just fucking ridiculous. And as I've said before, if your morals operate off of outrage and disgust, you're not going to have any morals, you're just going to have hatred. You're not doing yourself any favours there. Again, people really need to look inward with this sort of shit. Because that is what we're looking at here. Looking at a very backwards sort of fucking system. And that's going to have severe consequences on us. On everyone. Because that's just what's going to happen. Again, stuff like anti-migration is going to have those severe consequences. We're not going to have taxi drivers. Because even then, most taxi drivers are foreign. And I even know this myself personally, because I've happened to have taken a taxi within the last few months, which happen to have foreigners. I know, shocker. But you're not going to get rid of them. The simple fact is, people migrate here. And another thing, these people have a right to work here and live here. As long as it's done legally, I think that's fine. If it's done illegally, then obviously there's a problem. That part I can agree on. But there's still no reason to just deport them the moment they show up. It's such a ridiculous fucking claim. That's why I make a point of it. So yeah. What else do I don't think I have anything else to add. It's just disgusting behaviour anyway. Even then, because there are people just who don't do that. They think, okay, I've got a taxi driver on this, okay, it's not good, but I have to pay up obviously. You don't even need to tip them. That's the thing. Because obviously, like, there used to be a tipping culture for a lot of things, delivery drivers, taxi drivers, and you know, if you pay with cash, that's fine. That's a good way to do a tip, rather than obviously these stupid fucking sort of cold machines asking you to do it, which sort of coerces you, and the problem is it probably works. But again, it's your choice whether you do that or not. So it's fucking stupid. Anyway, the next thing, which sort of ties into it a bit, strangely enough, is actually about the UK. Obviously it is the UK, what the fuck I'd say. But it's more to do with a stupid rule that seemingly is going to be in place. Apparently, the UK government wants to scan your messages. I haven't read the full article, I don't really want to at this point, I'm just fed up with it. I know it's going to say anyway, it's going to be old people shit, but they don't understand a single fucking thing about technology, and they're being really stupid. So, again, the problem with message scanning, as I've talked about before, as they're wanting full surveillance here, turning us into North Korea essentially, is you're not going to save anyone. If anything, you're going to get the idiots. They're the only ones that are going to be caught, and then we won't actually have a way out because you've created this. And then, because nobody can talk to anyone about this, even for good or bad reasons, there's going to be more of these people on the streets than you've ever known. It's going to have severe consequences. And I'd like to use the example of someone who struggles with maybe sexual identity or even just personal health issues, like really personal. It could even be like trauma. And if you have someone scanning these messages, which I don't think they'll be able to do for like, what, how many people have you got in the UK? 60 million or so? You're not going to be able to succeed in that. Like, you're a fucking idiot if you think that's somehow viable. Scanning at least like 30 million plus messages. Potentially less as well, because obviously everyone's going to have different amounts of messages here. Again, it's just that ridiculousness, that level of stupid. And yet, this is what the UK government wants. So you can't even talk to someone privately about this. So what if you have someone who is like a non-offending paedophile? It's a very rare scenario, but it does happen. They're not going to be able to talk about it. Again, the messages are going to be scanned. There's no confidentiality. Again, unless there's like a way to avoid the screening and stuff, or just whatever it is they're doing. And you know, they're either going to be fucked or they're going to be forced to commit the sin because you put them there. It's like the biggest fucking warning I can give you for this. Essentially, you don't give anyone not necessarily a get out of jail free card, but necessarily a way to address the problem. Because if you're scanning the messages trying to figure out what they are and aren't doing, and as it's been said as well by, unfortunately, the far right crowd, they think there's like grooming gangs everywhere. And as far as I know, these don't really exist, from what I could tell. Certainly there are some, but they're not the same thing. What they're proposing is different to what everyone else sees it as. Whereas it's usually a white British population who are involved in these. And they're often the criminals in this case. So as much as it would be good for getting rid of these types of people, which to be honest at this point would be a blessing, it does leave other people more vulnerable and then becoming potentially more criminal, or just criminal anyway. Because again, if you absolutely cut off all avenues, all ways to address the problem, they're not going to be able to address it. If someone has very sort of murderous faults, for example, which apparently everyone has, but to be honest I do see it, but people do have those faults and they need to talk about it with someone. And it's often on like a common ground sort of thing. I don't want to kill a fascist today. Just really feel like it, and it's like, oh no, don't do that, that'll fuck your life up. Because it does. It will fuck your life up. And even though that may be the best thing for us, it still fucks your life up either way. So you've got that sort of danger. It's like, it's really fucking weird. So to have those messages scanned is somewhat dangerous. Because again, these people to be secretive, and that's the other consequence of it. And because they're secretive and they're in the closet as well, they don't have any chance to speak about these issues. Like, good job. The UK government is on the side of paedophiles and rapists. Excellent. That's great news. Again, it's so fucking dumb. And also, they're just going to get older phone versions anyway. There's not going to be message scanning, at least as far as I know of technology. But imagine older models and older SIM cards and stuff. You're already opening a fucking dangerous portal towards this dystopian future where this is a normal occurrence. Where every day there's going to be a new sort of rapist, paedophile, whoever on the street trying to cause some damage, trying to cause harm. And then unstable people doing the same thing. I want it to be proven wrong, if this does actually go through. But I'm not going to hinge my bets on it. It seems far too fucking risky. So again, too many consequences to this, and the government needs to fucking listen, otherwise there's going to be no success. There's going to be no protection either for anyone, not even women, because women again are at risk here. Because again, they're going to be secretive, and you can't always track secrets. Again, it's not even a phone issue at that point. It's more like there's going to be another way around it. You know, it could even be letters that you never fucking know. But people are going to find ways around it either way. It's just a system that's built to literally prey on that, to get around these problems. And for some reason the government seems to, once again, underestimate everyone when it comes to this topic. The technology is its own thing, but you can't control technology. Nobody has. It's never happened in history. It won't happen now. It won't ever happen, probably. So there's always that risk. And also, again, with the secretive stuff, people are going to find other ways. So again, it's dangerous. And you know, police can't necessarily track letters either, so what are you fucking doing? It's so dangerous and so fucking stupid. And even then, let's not disregard the fact that people can just do this shit anyway. There's also potentially even the danger that there's more gangs as a result. Because people will be fucking fed up of it. The types of people who grow up thinking you can molest little children for some reason, probably the same types of people who go to Reform and Restore as their voting choice, and also, again, are just part of these gangs. Part of all the fucking problems we have. So, I don't even know what to add. Again, I'm sort of lost for words with this sort of thing. It just feels so dystopian. It's not the shit where we need. It's not helping us. Yeah, the government's putting everyone in danger. Also, with sort of age verification on every site. It just doesn't make sense. Like, what are you fucking doing? You've already had a data leak, you fucking nonsense. Like, you're just going to risk that again? Get more data leaks? It's just so dumb. And in a way, I can't wait for the case where it turns out that Keir Starmer's identity is being leaked, Andy Burnham, whoever the fuck it is, and they're like, oh, we didn't see that coming. Yes, you fucking did. Everybody told you. It's your own fault. You know, eat the cake, because that's what you fucking sell. You're a medicine robber. Yeah, that's what you're putting in the world. That's what you get out of it. You reap what you sow is what they say. So yeah, don't really know what else to add. Again, I'm just tired of this shit. It's so fucking annoying. Again, another dystopian UK topic. Not a good thing to end on though. So yeah, I'll finish the episode here. Thanks for listening. See you everyone next time.